First thing I would do when I was in my addiction is I would reach for a pill. There were times when I would be in my sleep thinking about, waking up and taking a pill. That's what you go to bed thinking about, and that's what you wake up thinking about.
Cheryl Edwards' addiction to painkillers was controlling her life and destroying her marriage.
You really don't realize how much addiction will do.
Cheryl was a popular radio personality in the Chicago area. She married Mark, a friend from high school who had since become a Christian. Cheryl was raised in the church and her parents were Christians.
I believed I was saved through their faith when looking back on it, that it takes more than that,
Though both had children from previous marriages, everything seemed to be falling in place. One Thanksgiving, the two were on their way to Memphis to see her father when the weather turned treacherous.
An 18-wheeler thought I was gonna go through the yellow light, and I stopped, and it took our truck out. I woke up 3 days later and had a broken neck.
Cheryl and Mark both recovered, but for Cheryl, the greatest damage would come long after the accident.
As a result from those injuries, they loaded me up on painkillers. I came back home to Rockford, where I was given more painkillers.
The prescriptions kept getting refilled, and Mark became concerned.
Our doctor was giving us an outrageous amount of pills. It was crazy.
I thought it was acceptable because it came prescribed by a doctor. I thought it was okay.
Then Mark and Cheryl noticed her supply of pills was dwindling faster than it should. They discovered her son, Stephen, had been taking them. One day, he seemed to be sick, so Cheryl gave him a pill, thinking it would help him wind down.
I thought I was taking care of my son. He needed me. He was going through withdrawals.
Soon, both mother and son were addicted to prescription drugs.
You shut yourself off from the world. You don't want to go outside. Your personal hygiene, it affects that. I ended up divorcing Mark. I ended up losing all of it. My career, the home to foreclosure, marriage. The only thing that kept me from being out on the street was my mother.
One night, Cheryl was about to give Stephen another dose.
God showed me a vision of myself holding Stephen and hand feeding him pills as a baby. And I had never seen myself in that light before. When I saw myself hand feeding him pills, I thought, I'm killing my child.
That vision was the turning point for Cheryl, who turned her life over to Christ.
We always think that we got to clean up first, or we'll never be good enough or something, but that's not true. I really surrendered my life to the Lord that night in the bedroom after the Lord showed me what I had done.
Cheryl knew she had to get herself and her son into rehab, but it was very expensive, so she began praying for a way to pay for it. One day, she saw an ad in the paper.
I came across an ad that said, "Are you or someone you love addicted to painkillers?" And I shared our story.
The ad was for an upcoming episode of The Oprah Winfrey Show that featured parents and children who were both addicts. After Cheryl and Stephen, along with Cheryl's daughter Veronica, appeared on the show, Harpo Productions agreed to pay for their rehab.
When I got out, it was just so alarming to see how many people were addicted.
Although they were divorced, Mark was supportive of Cheryl through her entire treatment. Afterwards, they were watching an episode of The 700 Club.
There was a segment on about Bill and Carolyn Reeser. Their story was a lot like ours. In the segment, Carolyn Reeser tells Bill, her husband, if God can forgive you, I can too. And it just spoke to Mark and I.
We both broke down crying. It was just such a beautiful story, how God had given her the strength to do this.
Mark and Cheryl were inspired by the Reeser story and believed God could restore their marriage as well. They were remarried in 2010. This time around, God is at the center of their relationship.
When we can find it in ourselves through God to love those who aren't loving us back, I believe that makes God smile, and I like to make God smile.
Today, I wake up and I think about the Lord and my family. The Lord wants you wherever you're at in your life. That Bible script, the scripture, He reached down from on high and took a hold of me and dragged me out of deep waters. The Lord rescued me, and He can do that to you.